log out. Oops, last time, and again, should be able to do. All right, let's get going. So this is where we are last time, and again, one thing we should look at is something like this. So it looks like, as an example, we can look at our orders. As an example, we can get orders, right, on the back end, but right now, there's no need for authentication on the back end. We're just authenticating on the front end. Eventually, we're going to lock down the back end too, but for now, one step at a time. Okay. Let's get moving on all this this crazy stuff. All right, cool. So yeah, we have some pieces, but one thing we're missing from last time was the admin component. The admin component, which, hindsight being 2020, I probably could have created first, but it doesn't really matter. We can make so that we can add the admin component on our own, kind of separate. Okay, and it's not a big deal. And it's not even a big component. So normally I scaffold out, but this is an example of where we wouldn't, okay, because we already have something. So I'm going to put it right in here inside of admin. So I'm going to go into admin, I'm going to say new file, and we're going to say admin dot component dot ts. Okay, and here what we want is just spacing a little down into the fifth row at component, right? And once we do that, you can see that automatically adds Angular component. We're going to fix the double quotes in a second. And what we want in here is a template URL that is pointing to admin.component.html, which we don't have yet, which we will have. Then an export our class, which is the admin component class. Okay. And we're going to have a constructor. The constructor is going to have a private auth service, this one. As well, it's going to have a private router, which is going to be our router, this one. Okay, I'm just showing you when I say this one, I mean like, hey, take a look. It's got to be kind of so we can get all these instant imports as opposed to us doing things by hand, and we don't have to. It's like it's there for us for the taking kind of thing. And what we want is a logout service for now. So logout, this should probably be not here, but actually same level as this. So logout, which is going to return void. And it's just going to be this.auth.logout. And then we want is for this to the router navigate by URL. And we want to navigate by URL to /. Okay, there we go. So that's kind of the admin component. We need that admin component because that is what we want to use when we log in. We need this admin component HTML. So I'm going to go into make that. So I'm going to go admin, new file, admin.component.html. And the admin component.html is going to have parts we need to add. Let's quickly add those pieces. So div with the class of container dash fluid, so all the way out to the sides. And I'm going to do that. And inside that, we're going to have a div with a class of row. And there's not going to be much there. That's just it. Because I've taken out this area right now. Actually, what I'm probably going to have inside of that, it's just a space. That's what that row is. But we'll leave it there for now. Next to that, we'll have a div with a class of row.mt-2, so margin. And then inside that, we're going to have a div with a class of column-3 and a button. And the button is going to have a class of button-outline, and then info, and then button-block. And it's going to have a thing that says books. So we're going to have this books area. We can see books, and this is where we can actually do our book editing eventually. All right, that's what this is supposed to be. You want to edit books, that's what it's going to show us. So that's this part. Let me just make it so that we have kind of everything we want in here. Okay. And what we want in here is a couple of links. One of them is router link. And that router link is going to be equal to /admin/main/books. Okay, so we don't have that. We don't have this path yet. We need to have this path put in, as well as a router link active, which is equal to active. We're going to turn that router link active on. Let's space in there a little bit so we're organized. That's the books link. Okay. Where I really want though is the orders link, and that's going to be another one here. So another button. We'll want this one to work. Button dash outline. I'm scaffolding out the other one, but this one we're gonna use properly. Block. And inside the button, inside the button, we're gonna call this orders, and that should be pretty good. Let's see if I just click on that, we should be able to get everything I need to get going on this. Awesome. All right, let's go into that and add in the router link and stuff. So we're going to say router link. That's going to be equal to /admin/main/orders. And there we go. And we also want to make that router link active is equal to active, which is going to turn on that router, that button. It's going to highlight it is what it's going to do. That takes us down to this div, and then we're going to have a router outlet in here. Div with a class of column-9, and inside there we're going to have a router outlet. Okay, so that's how it looks, and that's our HTML for this one. Okay, so here we're still having an issue with finding admin.component.html because it's going to be something like /, which we're going to have to make the proper kind of route for that. So that kind of holds up this part, all right, which is pretty cool. What we want, and let's just make sure we look back over here to make sure there's nothing broken, because every time we save something, it should recompile everything, and I'm not seeing a recompile because we're not connected. Remember, when we don't connect things properly, there's no recompiling. Okay, so now next is inside my admin module, instead of doing what we did there as a placeholder, which was we used auth component here and auth component there, we're actually going to do admin component, which is this one. And then if I save, that should do the compilation, and we should have an error, which is what I thought we were going to have. Okay, and I knew it because once I saw router outlet, I was like, whoa, that's not cool, right? Because there shouldn't be a router outlet like that. Okay, so admin module, yes, we've done it, and it's connected, and we don't have an orders path yet. We don't have that. I just want to see some placeholder values. That's what I want to get right now, because I think that's pretty cool. Down in here also, we have to do some extra work. So now that we've added the admin component up here, we have common module, forms module, routing, auth guard, auth component, followed by admin component down in here. Admin component. Okay, we need to do that. We don't have our order table or anything else, but we will. So that's kind of the first part. The first piece is this part. Now it says, hey, take a look at admin.component.html, make sure you have the right thing. So in here, it's like saying, I don't know what a router outlet means because there is no router outlet that's going to make any sense at this point here. And I just want to make sure that, yeah. So I just want to make sure that that is where it's at. So it says router-outlet is a component, and it's looking to find that component, but it's not finding it, and that's because inside of my admin.ts page, even though we've got router in here, and again, we can probably not show this router outlet for a second, but all this would do is show our pathing. That's what it's going to do. So allow our router to work. So what it should be is if I type in router outlet and close it off, that's what it should look like, because that is actually a component that is found, right? But the reason why we didn't see it up there is because it wasn't connected. Now it is. All right, so let's see some functionality. Let's see if we actually see the admin page and all that kind of stuff. And to test this, we're going to go back into our code. And you know what I think we have to do? I think we have to regenerate. Not that, that's for sure. That is so funny. What we're going to have to do instead is we're going to have to kind of kick off this again. I'm just going to recompile to make sure this is good anyway. So it's going to be an ng serve -- open, and let's bring this up and see what it leads us with. And that's going to probably appear on the other page over here, but that's okay. I just want to make sure it compiles, because when we do things like this, yay, it looks okay, and then we actually look at it, and then, you know, not good things. Good things don't happen. All right, so we don't have a link for that, but so again, so far so good. You know, we're pretty good in terms of what we're doing here. What we need is an admin link up here. So when we click on the admin link, it takes us to where the admin pages are at, which is pretty good. So I'm gonna have to modify our components. So we can do a login, a log out, and all this other stuff. Okay, so that's one thing we're missing. But so far, so good. We don't have any errors, which is the big one. Okay, so now let's get into our this component we want to get into, just a moment, which is inside of our partials, inside of our header in the HTML piece. So again, I'm going to go into partials and header in the HTML. We're going to add more links. And we're going to do a couple of things here that are a little bit different than what we had before, right? So we're going to basically say that if I'm logged in, and only if I'm logged in, I want to see my admin main. Okay, so it's going to show me an admin path. And that's going to come right after we look at the book list. Okay, so that's kind of something that I want in there inside of my admin pages. So let's do that. So again, we got product services, blah, blah, blah. We got a book list. And then after the book list, we got our contact. And maybe what we want to do is we want to move this contact somewhere else eventually. But what I want to do is do a login and log out kind of thing. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to do a is logged in. We're going to do a conditioner, additional. So for example, first it's going to be a list item with the class of nav item. And we want to do this idea of router link active later on. But for now, let's do a nav item. And the nav item is going to be including an anchor tag. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this. Instead of retyping all that stuff in, it's just going to be there. That's simple. So instead of our contact, we want to do a admin main. So admin main. And what we want instead of this when we're logged in is a login link. So actually it's going to go into /login. Let's go there. So /login. Okay. So nav item, nav link, /login, and then the I tag for the login is FA large. I think I like that. FA dash large, and then fa-sign-in sign-in-alt. And that is our login. I'm putting it at the end because that's really what it should be. And we're only going to show this if I'm not logged in. So I'm going to kind of do something like that later on. For now, I want to show it. Okay. And let's see if I can actually get to the login page. First things first. So going back to our code, we should see the login. If I click login, okay, so that's a problem. And let's see what we got in the inspector. Because if you can't do the login, then who cares, right? So the login doesn't really do anything right now. We need to get that login link. And that's the first step. So first step is log in. Okay, cool. Well, where do we get that login path? Because that's part of our router. So in my app module, right, then that it will be in the main app module inside of our router link, which is inside here, app routing module. So we have home and about services book list, blah, 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 and we have admin, but we also want to have a login. So let's put that in there. So we'll say that, grab one of these, and we'll put a login. That's what it's called. And login, what it's going to do is it's going to put a data title, which is going to be login. Login. There we go. And we're going to redirect to, when we go there, to admin auth. All right, so let's try and do that. So when we have login, the path login, we're going to give us this, and we're going to redirect. Redirect to admin auth, because that's what we want. The which is then we also do it. We want to do a path match full, so we make sure it's like it has to say that whole thing login. So that is that piece login. Okay, cool. So we have a bunch of stuff, all these different paths that we can get to, a checkout, a cart, a bunch of stuff. But we also have about product services and a bunch of things that we had here that we didn't have inside the sports store. That's fine. But then we go to admin, and whenever we go to the admin, we go to the admin module. So the admin module teleports us back over here inside of admin. Here's the admin module where we have some pathing. Okay. So we went to admin auth, which means it's going to go here and it's going to hit the auth component. That's what's going to happen, right? That's in the admin module. Okay. Cool, cool. So that's the first part. Admin module takes us to auth, right? As an example. We don't have orders yet, but we will, right? We will. And we can't edit books or anything else, but we will do that probably in the next video. Let's see if we can log in and log out. So save all, make sure there's nothing that needs to be saved. Go back to here, and we should see a login that takes us to log in. Let's see if I can get there. So /login, and it shouldn't do that. It should take us back out to where we're supposed to be. So let's see what's actually happening with this whole thing. So a couple things that's going on here. One is this children path, which we're not using. That redirects back to the book list. So nice. This is nice, but we're not really using it. So for now, what we can totally do is comment it out. So we can say something like, hey, I don't want to do this. I want to comment it out because this might be the thing that's causing us consternation. So we just want to save this piece there. And let's go back and try it again. So again, we can refresh, which is good. And then if I click on login, okay, we get redirected back to the book list again. So there's a redirect that's taking us back here. Like it's not actually working. So we want to get to the auth component, right? And the book list is something that we're being guarded, right? So auth component is not guarded. The admin component is, right? The admin component is being guarded. So remember that if we want to go to the main auth main, that's going to be bad. Because look, if we take a look at the router, again, this is inside of our app routing module. it says that login is actually a redirect for admin auth. Okay. Admin auth. So I put in admin. Where does it go? Is there an admin? Here it is. Here's admin. And admin says, okay, load the children from the admin module. Now this is something we definitely could do here, right? Because that's what it says. And it says can activate store first guard, right? That takes us to the admin module. We also have home and full and all this kind of stuff, right? So let's follow this logic here. So first of all, one thing to note is make sure that, let's close all these editors off to make it easier to look at. Here's our app module. So login, right, as an example, is going to redirect us. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to go to admin. Okay, so if I type admin, and if I type admin auth, then it should go into admin, and from admin, it's going to take us to the admin module, which is out here. From the admin module, it's going to say, okay, so we're going to get into the admin module now. The subpath is auth, all right, which is going to go to the auth component, which is all good, right? And there's no auth guard or anything like that. So we should be able to get to the auth component. And the auth component, right, if we look at what that is, let's go into auth component. Auth component, by the way, if you look at it, is ./auth, which is up here, /component, which is not a big deal. It's just inside of another folder. So auth component, the auth component goes in here, and it says, okay, so when we're in here, we want to look at this template URL, this one, okay? That's what it does. So we create a user and blah, blah. So what I want to do is let's see if we even get to this auth component, what it does. So I'm going to say on init console log. Let's do some tracing. We'll say the auth. So we'll say debug. I like to do this kind of stuff at the auth component. Does it even get there? And I believe it does not, right? Because we're not getting any routing at all, any redirects. All right, so let's try this out and see what happens. So again, we're here and we're refreshed, doesn't matter. And if I click login, oh, something happened. Something did happen, right? So let me try that again. Take a look at that. We had a bit of an error. Sent a load off, and let's see what happened inside of our code. Something's happening. On the back end, nothing is happening. It's just looking at the book list. The book list. It's just showing the book list over and over again, and that's not a big deal. I'm happy that it's doing that, but it's redirecting back to the book list. So we may have to take out some routes. We're going to take routes out until we're positive on what's happening, or redirect them back into because we've restructured our app a little bit, and it's not a big deal. We're just going to figure out where the routing is happening. All right. So just remember, something is redirecting us. Okay. So home, about, product, services, and then we're going to go home, and we're going to go to home. Worst case scenario, go to home is what it's saying, right? And home takes us out. And then, so that's one thing. So home, about, products, and book list, it shows the bookstore, right? So this is where the store first guard is. And that's another thing to take care of. Let's take a look and see in the routing module, what's happening compared to my notes, right? Because that's important. Because again, I'm modifying stuff. So home should not have a route guard, right, at all in any kind of way. Login should not have a route guard. In fact, let's put login, just from a finding perspective, way up here. So this is where login goes. Let's just say, right? So login's up here, all right, and then we have a bunch of stuff with about and products and services and all this kind of stuff. And then we get to the meat and bones of what we're doing, the book list, followed by the cart, the checkout, and contact page can be way up here too. I'm just separating the stuff that's required, and this stuff here is nice to have about products and services. We don't have anything in there right now. This is just placeholder stuff. But book list, cart, and checkout are here, followed by my admin page, which is there. Okay. These should all be store first guard, store first guard, store first guard, store first guard. And it should be all the same. And then this should be go to home. And if it's empty, it also goes to home with a path match full. and that is probably a path match full as well. Let's do that. Not sure why I had that in there, but that should definitely be something that I want to add in here as well. So both are path match fulls, but I think that might be some of the cause of the restructuring. Okay, let's go back in here and see what happens when I click this again. Okay, so that definitely not working. Books definitely working because we're looking at it redirects us to the book list. Cart, nothing to do with the cart, but if I do have a cart, we can click on it and it still works. All this functionality that we had before is good. It's just not liking that login. It takes us right back to this. So let's go back and continue to work with these services because I think that's an important piece. So store guard, store guard, store guard. Home component is good. And then it redirects us back to, it keeps on redirecting us back to book list, which is something that the store first guard does, if I'm not wrong. So let's take a look at that store first guard. So in guards, store first guard redirects us back to book lists. But in my store first guard that I had written before, which is inside of my store component, it redirected you back to this. So let's just for now, I want to see if that's the thing that's redirecting. We'll say a console log. Store first guard. So debug store first guard. Just so I know where we are. I want to be able to trace our roots around. And yeah. Okay, so nothing there. If I click services and books and contact, but if I click something else in here, if I go login, oh, there we go, store first guard. So that kind of brought us back to something else. Store first guard said, no, we want to do a login, and that shouldn't. See that? But we typed it in. If I click login, it also does store first guard and brings us in. So if I go home, store first guard's gone. Login, bring us back to store first guard. So store first guard is redirecting us back to here. Should not. So all right. So this is good. This is good. And this is how we track our routing, right? So it goes to here. We go to admin auth. Admin auth takes us here. Let's take away this store first guard stuff just for now and see if it's going to avoid this whole module in the beginning. Okay, so let's go back and refresh. And now it should not do that. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to see. So now, because there's no store first guard anymore. So let's see what happens here. What is the problem? And it says error, uncaught in promise, null injector, auth service, at module auth service. It says no provider for auth service. Hey, now we're getting somewhere. I like this. This is good. And this is what I talked about before. I was like, wait, how is this being propagating? How is it propagating at all? Because the auth service has to be connected to something, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like, when we're trying to deal with this and figure out what's happening, we need to understand how it's connecting. So let's go back and review the auth service again. So again, this is good for you guys from when you're watching this, so you can see the troubleshooting steps I'm taking, which is going to solve the problem eventually. But for now, we got to figure out what the problem is. So we saw the error. The error is it hasn't been registered properly in this app. So first of all, is there anything in the app service itself that needs to be modified? And it looks like no, we're good to go. The auth service is awesome. Okay, next. How about inside, because auth service is in model, we know that model has a model module. Model module is right here. Could there be something that we're missing in here? Model module. So that's the next place I would look. So if I look at model module, yes, that is definitely what I'm missing. So you can see that the auth service isn't triggering, and which is causing us to have issues. So where would it be? So we're going to go into provide static data source, use class REST data source. Then there's a REST data source followed by, and here we go, the auth service, which is finally being triggered after all this time. cool. That successfully links everything together, and now we should be able to see other stuff. I click login. Okay, this is good. Errors are a good thing. Errors give me some. Okay, so it says next, uncaught, impromise, invalid character error, failed to execute set attribute on element, ng submit is not a valid attribute name, and that is if again this is the call stack, if you will, right? When this is good. Errors are always good because you can act on them. No errors, which I was getting before, is bad. All right, so no, look what it says here. So we're going into core, and then auth component.html line number 13. Okay. Let's go back into auth component.html line number 13. Oh, okay. It says ng submit form. Well, there's an error right here. ng submit is actually a thing, and this is completely wrong. It's actually a typo. It should be like this. Okay, so that is totally cool. We caught that nicely. And now let's see if we can go back and click on login. Ah, finally. All right, so now you can see what's kicked in. Debug at auth component, which we never were able to get there before, right? And now we have our login, which is going to help me log in. All right, so that's the first part. No bookstore admin. If I click cancel, it should take us back, right? This is good. If I go back and I click login, it's going to give me form data invalid because we don't have a proper login sequence. Let's go in there and try and log in and see what happens. There's other bad things that can happen. So we know admin is the login, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's see what happens. Hey, that is a really great result, actually. Because we have books and orders. This isn't good. The way it looks isn't good. But I'm pretty happy the fact that we even got here. Let's also check to see if we've actually physically logged in on the back end. So the way to know that is, this is kind of like a placeholder now. Let's get back and see that. So I'm going to go back to the here, and I'm going to look inside my Express side and see if I've got an error. All right, let's see what it did. It says book list, orders, add, and hey, we actually did a login, and it's at 200. That means it actually logged in. This is good, guys. That means on the back end, we've got a response that says all okay. That's what 200 is, which is good. This is a good thing, right? Let's put that store guard back. So I mean, remember, I take stuff out and then I put it back to test. So let's go back into that app component. So app component, app module. App module says go to app router. App router goes to here. And this is where we had our admin. And I took out my store guard, which is can't activate. Let's put that back and see if that is still going to cause a problem. And my suspicion is now it will not. But, you know, who knows if that's going to work or not. Okay, so save. Go back out here, click login, and yeah, see that's a problem for our store guard. Our store guard kind of sees our login as an interloper. Doesn't know what that is. So it's got to come out. This has got to stay out. And it's working. Actually, our store guard is working as it should. But we should be able to get to the admin page, no problem. So I should be able to go to here. Let's go save this for a second. I should be able to go to here and just type in login. And it should take us to the login page. That's how it should work, right? So this is good. We can take out this debug at auth component part. We can take that off. So auth component. This is our auth component.html and auth component.ts. We can take this debug out, so we know that this is actually working. And we can go into our guard, which is on guard, store guard, and take this out. So we know that's actually working now. Cool. So that's how it should work. Now, our auth component, after we log in, it takes us to our admin component, which was these two funky buttons. One of them was a book button, and the other one was this orders button, and it didn't really look right. Something was off, let's just say, right? And we have a row that's up here. As an example, I'm just going to take a look at my admin component.html here and see what we've got going on, because I think something is definitely messed up with our with our look and feel. So buttons, classes. Is anything wrong here? Something was wrong up here, that's for sure. Because this one was one of them was really short, and the other one was really long. Right. So orders was like massively long, and this one was really short. So button outline, info, and then block. Oh yeah, that's wrong. That should be button block. Button dash block. It should be what is said there. Okay, so that's that one. Admin main books. That's where it should go. We don't have a path like that right now. And button outline, button info, button block. That looks okay. Button outline, button info. Books. That's where it should go. We don't have a path like that right now. And button outline, button info, button block. That looks okay. That's books and orders. And yeah, we're good. Okay, so I think that's good. So let's just go back there and see if we can log out. So the log out, in order for us to present a log out, I mean, really, we would be able to come in here and do a log out. So this would be like log out. And then it should log us out. And in the back end, we should see a log out pop up, but it didn't work. I can tell because we never went to do a log out in here, right? Okay, let's see why that is. So again, if I go to the app router, right? So not the model, but here in the app router, let's trace it. So here's login. Cool. Where's logout? Nowhere. Okay. How about in where we have our next thing, which is our admin component. So if I go back to admin component and I go to the admin component, admin module, which is here, do you see a logout? Nope. No logout. So what would it look like if I was trying to log out on the link? I don't have a logout link either. I didn't make it for our header component. So in our header component, we should have some kind of log out and it should go to logout, right? So when I go to logout, I want to be able to execute a logout action, which is something that I want to be able to do. I don't even have a path for that right now, and so therefore it's never happening, right? So first, let's program a way of being to check where I'm logged in or not, and that's inside of the header component.ts. So header component.ts right now is like pretty bland, right? And what we want with this one is I need information about my user, and I need information about my auth service, and I need lots of stuff, right? So let's start with user. So inside here, I'm going to put in a user, which is of type user, this one. So that's the first thing I want to put in. So that's something that I want to include. We're going to reorganize the imports later. In my constructor, I want to have a private, I'll call this auth service, which is of type auth service. Again, you probably call that auth too, but whatever. And then also I want access to my router. So private, I want access to my router, which is of type router. This one. So that should give us router, auth service, and user. And pretty much these correct order. Let's just, yeah, that's probably right, because you want to put your auth service after your router, because these are Angular components and these are R components. Typically, that's a good convention to follow. All right. Yes, indeed. I've got everything going. I've got my ng on init. Let's initialize the user in here because we haven't touched ng on init yet. So again, inside here, I'll go this.user is equal to a new user object. This is something we're going to pass around again. And let's just fix up our TSLint failures. Okay, cool. So that's this piece. Let me make sure that this is still compiling because compilation is important. All right, next, let's do the next part, which is ng on init on. We want to make sure that we can check to see if I'm logged in. So we're going to say is logged in, and we're going to check it's a Boolean. This little method we're going to make. And we're going to say that const result is equal to this dot auth service dot authenticated. Are we authenticated? If we are authenticated, then this is going to be a positive result. If the result is positive, right, then what we want is this dot user is equal to a JSON dot parse local storage. Let's get that stuff from local storage. Let's get item, the user information from local storage, which we want to be able to use inside of our header component. So if am I logged in, yes or not? And if I am, I want to return my result. Positive or negative. Yay! That's what that does. Okay, so that's if that checks to see if I'm logged in. Why is this giving me a thing? It says it doesn't like is logged in as a. It likes me to do camel case like that. There we go. Okay, so that's this part. The other thing we want to do is what happens when we click on the logout button. I want to be able to navigate to /login again, but I want to be able to also log out. So perform logout, and so without a navigation at all. So let's do that. So we'll say if on logout click, if I click logout, then this dot auth service dot logout. Oops. I want to perform my logout. I want to subscribe, right, as an example, to data. And what I want to do is I want to say that this dot router dot navigate, and I want to navigate to ./login. So I want to log out, and when I'm done, the promise is going to be me logging back in again. So take me back to the login page, is what this is basically saying, right? And that should be good. Oh, undo. Why am I getting this thing? It's a TS-lint failure. Fix it. There we go. So those are two things I want in there. So one is the user data, and once I got the user data, and this is all in my header, is what I'm talking about. The header itself is going to have to understand when the user is logged in or not. So when I click, I can show and not show, like I did with Express, the links. So let's go back to our header component now. So now I've got this login component, and what I want to do is say, okay, well, if I'm logged in, only if I'm not logged in do I want to show my login link. So let's do that. So say, under my list item, I'm going to say, all right, hello, ng if conditional, again, equals to if not is logged in. If I'm not logged in, then show my link item, all that kind of stuff, right? That's the first part. However, if I am logged in, let's choose this again. What happens if I am logged in? I want to show the log out button, right? So if I am logged in, right, then I want to do a nav item that basically allows me to click. So with a class of nav link, I want to click. On click, I want to say that on logout, click. I want to access the on logout click event that I just made. Click, and I want to do router link, right? Equals to ./logout. All right. So now this is not going to trigger the way it should. On logout click is going to trigger it. This one won't. But this is kind of a remnant, I think. Let's get back into, let's put that back over here just from a spacing perspective. I think it should be here, and I'm probably going to bring this one in here just so that way we have a little bit more space. This shouldn't say alt sign in, this should sign out. All right, so different font awesome icon is what we're using there. All right, let's see if that functionality is okay. So going back to this, you can see now we're logged in. I'll log in with admin. And then we're good. Now I see the buttons in the right order. And you can see, it says log in again. Okay, wait. So did I say log in twice? I did. I should go log out. If my log in, then the log out button is going to show. Let's try that again. So again, log out. Good. See, it showed me that was logged in. Now I'm here. I can do admin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and log in. I should see the log out button. It's functioning, guys. It's seeing that we're actually logged in, and then we can log out. So logging in and logging out, good stuff. Now that we have that, we can show our admin section. So that's the other thing we need to show, because there's a couple things I want to show. I want to show a user who's logged in, just like we did with our we did this with our Express. We're going to say, hey user, welcome to blah blah blah, right? So if I'm logged in, then what I want to do is I want to, my class, instead of it being a nav item, is in fact going to be nav text. So navbar dash text and then text dash success. I want to make it green. ML dash 5 D none. This is just a little bit of spacing. Large inline. All right, so this is that part that I want to do. And then I want to not do this part at all. I just need, so let's get rid of all of this. Don't care about that or this, because I'm not actually doing any of this stuff. In fact, I'm going to say welcome, and then I'm going to use kind of user.display name is what I want to show here, which is kind of what we had in our cute little Express application, right? So class is this. I'll put this on the same line so you can see it. Class is this, and then I have an I tag of this, which is only going to appear if I'm logged in. Okay, so let's save, go back out. I'm not logged in, so I don't see it. Log in. Let's go to that. Nope. Admin. And cool. And now we see welcome admin, right? That's pretty cool. I need a bit of a space there after admin because it's right next to this, and it gives a little bit of space on this side. And if I click log out, we're back out here. And also, I don't want to see that icon. The icon is wrong. So let's go back to this. So it's not sign out, it is the FA user icon. So FA user, so that's what it is. FA large, FA user, welcome, and then the admin. I also want to give a little bit of space between my I tag. I want to make sure that we've got enough space here. D, G, L, G inline, that's good. 5, D none, ML, so margin left 5. That's what this means. Margin right 5, I could probably put that in there too. So say margin left 5, margin right 5. Give me some space around this thing, is what I'm saying. So let's go back and try that again. And then, bam, it looks pretty good now. Welcome admin, it says. So that's pretty cool that it tells me that. That's good functionality. And let's log out. And now we want to be able to say that when the admin is showing, I want to be able to go and show that the admin section where I can do administrative work, right? And only then do I want to show that. So let's do that now. Okay, so we're going to do a similar thing. I'm going to grab a link because I think these links are better, and I'm trying to look and see which is the most compatible. I think this one might be the most compatible with what I want to do. All right, so yeah, I think this is good. So we have this. It says if is logged in this time. It's a nav item. Cool. Nav link. Here's nav link. Which is the type, and then the thing here is admin/main. This is the main thing we haven't been able to see yet so far, and I want to put in FAS FA user shield, FA large FA user dash shield. user dash shields is what I want in here. I'm using large icons for these ones, and this should be admin. And let's see how that looks, right? So cool. Let's log in. Does it work? Who knows? Cool. All right, cool. Welcome, admin, it says, and there's my shield. If I click onto it, it should take me to here, and it should light up, but it doesn't. And it doesn't because we haven't got router link active in there. So we need to put that in there. We can turn that router link active. We can do that for any of these, by the way. But the one I really want to do is this one. So we have none of these as router link active. Remember, we control the router link activation. If I go to home, about, products, services, and blah, 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 there's nothing that really comes up here, right? You can see I'm an admin user. I also want some space, just like I have space around this guy. I want to have some space next to the admin user. Push this over a little bit. So really highlight admin. And we can also make him a red icon instead of this icon here. So let's try and do that. So if I want to add space around the admin, and we want to add some router link active stuff, so I want to be able to do that too. Let's do that. So then we'll stop for recording this one. Okay, so FA user shields, just like we did the navbar text, we can say I want some spacing around the list item, right? So again, I want some spacing around the list item. Let's try, so one thing at a time, right? So I want to see what this does for us. So now you can see that there's a little bit of spacing on both sides. Say admin, cool. And then we can change the text to something else. So I can say text dash, and we can make it so it's a warning or something else, right? So warning, be pretty colorful, right? And that didn't quite work. So notice that, so that we want to change the item, we would probably want to make it across the I tag. So that should be not here necessarily, but probably around the I tag, which might be inside here. Let's try that. Nav link text warning. Let's try that. Yeah, that's how it goes. So there we go. So this admin. Now, if that's a little bit too stark, if you don't like that and you like the green color, that's cool. But you can see that admin is lit up. So I can go to admin and it goes to where I want, right? And that's kind of what I want, right? Once we log in, we see admin, hovering, and then welcome admin, right? So that's pretty cool. Okay, and then these ones are the same. We can still look at books. Now, we want to be able to highlight these things, and the way to do that, we haven't talked about this, is get that router link active thing happening. And the way to put that in is in the nav item, we can do instead is, I can say that, for example, for home, for the home link, right? Let's just put so the I tag is good. Here's the anchor tag, right here, this whole anchor tag. But in the list item itself, so that's the list, the nav item, we can say something that looks like this. Let's try this out. We can say router link active. Here's router link active is, and then we can say that is equal to, and we're going to have to use two of these square brackets. So there's the square brackets, and then inside this active. And this is if and only if we're in the on the home page. So save. Let's go back to the home page and see that light up. Do we see the light up? So home, and yeah, we don't really see that. Notice that it doesn't really sustain that router link active. Not yet. And we're going to make that work, but that's kind of the first thing. The other thing we want to make is that the exact path is going to be equal to true. So home, notice that home is here. So it says, we can say something like router link active, and we may have to go back and change this up again. But we want to say that router link options, right? And we can say that exact is true. This is an option we can put in for this. We want to have an exact match for home. And we can also put router link active because we want to add the active into the class. That's what we're really trying to do, right? So let's try to do the same thing with the other ones. So we're going to say router link active when you're here. Router link active where you're here, and where you're here, where you're here on the book list. There isn't really a book list link necessarily. Contact, and let's see what that does, because what I'm trying to do is there isn't any router link active is logged in. That is definitely a router link active for that one. And so what you can do is for the login page, which is this one, login, the rest don't really have it. I mean, you can't. Is login for admin? Yes. So the admin, as an example, main, you can definitely do a router link active for that, for the list item. So again, kind of put that in there, no problem. That's just adding it in as an and also one thing that we have is these hrefs, and that's an issue, right? Hrefs should not be. They should be called router links. So that's another problem we have. So these should all change. So this should be router link, right? And all these should be switched up with router link, right? So that's another thing. Otherwise, there's no router link at all. And so then router link is never active because there's no router link. All right, so router link, only every time you have these hrefs, there should be a router link instead of an href, right? So that's kind of where it should be. And same thing goes with this href up here, although it doesn't really matter because it's going to be a redirect. All right, so we got router links and we have router link actives. Let's see if we save that. Does it make a difference? First of all, it does. Look at that. Look how it lights up now. So if I go to About, that looks nice. And I can see the products and services and books and contact and admin. Admin kind of dims out more than anything else. Doesn't actually look right. Admin looks like it's active when it's not active. That's kind of weird. And then log out, we should see that log out should be here, it should be a log in. Admin off should have a log in here, which it doesn't, which we can do. But that's pretty cool. We've got a lot of really cool functionality here. We're able to log in and log out, and this is what I wanted to do. One thing we're missing is this idea of pulling down the information about our order table. But one thing I noticed is that we're going long again. We're about 49 or 58 minutes into our video, and I'd like to stop it here, and then we'll do the next one. We'll do that order table and everything else in the next video. Thanks, guys.